Welcome to Barbarian Invaders, Early Medieval Europe, and the Byzantine Empire. This is Melinda Klein. By the 3rd century, the Roman Empire experienced invasions by Germans, internal problems from anarchy from 180 AD, and the lack of tax money collected. With the inability to fund the much-needed military and judicial presence across the great expanse of territory, the Roman imperial machine lost its authority and unity to work through the significant challenges to rule. By the 450s, the imperial structure in the West ceased to exist. All was at an end by 476 AD. In time, Germans became a part of the new civilization and religion that was taking form. However, after 476 AD in the East, the Roman Empire continued to exist, becoming increasingly Greek in language and culture over time. Why did German tribes feel the need to migrate to other lands? Historians still grapple with why the Huns left Mongolia and moved west, eventually invading Europe 200 years later. Indirect evidence includes the transmission of the composite bow from Central Asia to the West. The German tribe to travel the farthest was the Vandals. They conquered Roman imperial authority from central Germany through Gaul, then into Spain. Attila was the leader of the Hunnic Empire, which stretched from the Netherlands to the Ural River and from the Danube to the Baltic Sea. During his rule, he was one of the most fearsome of the Western and Eastern Roman Empire enemies. He invaded the Balkans twice. He marched through Gaul as far as Orleans before being defeated at the Battle of Chalons, and he drove the Western Emperor Valentinian III from his capital at Ravenna in 452. He reached Constantinople and Rome, but refrained from attacking either city. While the empire in the West lay in ruins by the end of the 5th century, the Emperor of Byzantium attempted to take Rome with the help of another German tribe, the Ostrogoths, who had converted to Christianity. Out of all the German kingdoms, the longest lasting was that of the Franks, established by Clovis, who ruled 481 to 511. Present-day Iberian Peninsula contains Spain and Portugal. In the 8th century, the Visigoths loosely controlled Iberia. Nearly all the Iberian Peninsula was quickly conquered from 711 by mainly Berber Muslim Moors from North Africa. These conquests were the part of the expansion of the Islamic Umayyad Empire. In the 6th century, Pope Gregory set in motion the direction of the Roman Catholic Church. One goal was to civilize and Christianize the Germans, thus creating the new European civilization emerging in the ashes of the Roman Empire. In England and Wales, former pagan temples became Christian churches, and old pagan feasts and holiday days had new names. For example, the Christian feast of Christmas, the Mass for Christ, was held on the day of December 25th, when German pagans celebrated the winter solstice. The scholar, historian, and Christian monk, the Venerable Bede, or Saint Bede, is best remembered for his book, The Ecclesiastical History of the English People, completed in 731 AD. In his history and other writings, Bede revealed the culture of monastic life, the state of the church, early gospels, wrote poetry, wrote about his interests in science and astronomy, and created a history of Christianity in England. Another early Christian church scholar was Cassiodorus, a Roman statesman and great writer serving in the administration of Theodoric the Great of the Ostrogoths. In the monastic movement to Christianize English and German pagans, women of the church served important roles too. In the Frankish kingdoms of Gaul and Anglo-Saxon England, nuns had their own ecclesiastical houses and authority like the monks. Even though with the permanent break between east and west of Constantinople by the 4th century, Christianity continued to spread north and south of the Mediterranean Sea. In the coming together of German peoples in the former Roman Empire, these regional governments that developed and their authority took different forms, developing in different ways. By the 4th century, the Christian Church had developed a system of government. Each city in Christendom was headed by a bishop. His area was called a diocese or bishopric. In time, bishops of Rome were considered Peter's successors and came to be known as popes, from the Latin word papa, meaning father. The Vikings were Norse, Icelandic, and Danish warriors who raided coasts of Scandinavia, the British Isles, and other parts of Europe between the general periods of 793, when it is recorded in the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle that the Northmen raided the important island monastery of Lindisfarne, to 1066 with the Norman invasion of England. Charles the Great, known as Charlemagne, the king of the Franks, had become by 800 the first Roman emperor since 476. This did not give a rebirth to the Roman Empire in the West, however. Charlemagne was a German. As the central authority fell apart in the Carolingian world, combined with the invasions of the Muslims, Magyars, and Vikings, this led to the emergence of a new type of relationship between free individuals. When governments no longer could defend their subjects, it became important to find some powerful lord who could offer protection in exchange for service. This contract of alliance between landowners, lords, and their vassals, a class of military dukes, created an organized system of government which was called feudalism. In the 6th century, the Eastern Christian Empire was now controlled by one ruler, Justinian, who had inherited the throne. In his vision for empire, he wanted to reestablish the Roman Empire. Under his rule, Byzantium grew in size by adding to it former Roman territories in northern Africa by conquest, and then by the same method in the Balkans. As emperor, Justinian accomplished great feats of law, revival of trade, created law courts, and expanded his empire. His great public works projects included creating underground water reserves for fresh water. He helped build walls for protection against invasion and transportation systems including roads and the building of bridges. The Hippodrome of Constantinople was a horse racing track and sporting and social center of the city, the capital of Byzantium. When Justinian died, he left his empire with serious problems. The territories were not being governed well, and after a plague, the population was greatly reduced, affecting trade and tax collection. And then by the 7th century, Persians in the east and the Central European Slavs were attacking frontier territories.